Hello there, my fellow fucks. Today we are diving deep down into the pits of hell of gaming and what it's become today. What inspired me for this video was hanging out, talking to a very close friend of mine, and he was playing Warzone. Now, the subject of the servers being shut down came up, and first I was just simply like, what the fuck? Because mind you, I don't play this game, at least not a lot.
Oh, we don't play that!
So it was news to me. Then he went to tell me how much time he spent, how much he grinded, and he had spent a shit ton of money on this game. And I was like, damn. But he was talking, telling me how he's losing access, and honestly, it never felt like he regretted spending the money. Just more the return in which he got for the money he did spend. Now, mind you, I can't talk. I have the same amount of money spent in League of Legends, albeit mine's over 6 years as opposed to the 1, maybe 1.5 when Warzone was at its peak. So in my mind it's better, or that's what I tell myself to sleep at night. But I want to hear your opinion. Comment down below, tell me which one you think is worse, Warzone or League. With that in mind though, I started to think. With Warzone and COD going forward, this seems to be the business model they're going to be using, and this brings forward a question. Is COD Warzone one big fucking legal scam? Well, in short legal terms, no, it's not. When you sign up for games to play online, there's a bit where you sign you only have access to the cosmetics for the life of the game. So, we can't start a lawsuit, demand our money back. But if there's a lawyer out there, comment down below if there's anything we can do. Maybe some COD points in Warzone 3 or something. A return of some sorts. Not that I expect anything, but fuck it. Worst thing that happens is, nah, we can't do it. Makes me feel like I tried. Now anyway, in morality and how a dev and company treat its player base and what it's building, yes, they scammed my heart, they scammed my soul, they scammed my time, and they scammed my money. Now this is a bad gamer, I'm bad on the sticks and even worse on the mic. Welcome to my channel. Now let's dig through this pile of shit. Now before we get into the meat and potatoes, I always like to do a full take. Give some background info so you're just not going into stuff blind in any way. So first, we're going to go over what brought about the rise and fall of Warzone. Now before we continue, if you're still watching, if you could please drop a like if you like what you hear, and please subscribe. And if not now, hopefully by the end of today's video, I'll have earned your subscription. So a new style of gaming had hit the market where instead of the normal 2 teams duking it out, meeting in the middle of the map for control, you have multiple teams duking it out in a free-for-all, action-packed, winner-takes-all bloodbath. And on a map that forces you into situations where you will have to fight. Some major standouts to name a few: Fortnite, Apex, and PUBG soared to the top of gaming at the time. Innovative and fun, and to be honest, just a fresh new take on war games that just wasn't the same old thing. With the continued success of Fortnite, with it lasting so long, along with them constantly updating the game, and the one decision that I think that rejuvenated Fortnite was the no build. Brought in skilled players that didn't want to learn how to build, so you could cater to both crowds. So the ones who like gameplay and suck at building have a place. And with them doing the new gaming engine and the creator maps, along with just how great their battle pass is, it's no wonder why Fortnite has been at the top of gaming for so long. PUBG was also a beneficiary of the early success of Battle Royale games, albeit it did have much earlier decline. They had realism in their game that brought in a lot of players, like bullet drop, gunfights actually making sense, felt like you had to play smart and tactical, and you couldn't run in guns blazing. Along with some cool maps, they did a great job until greed took over. $20 for a t-shirt, come on now. We also had Apex and their take on the Battle Royale system with the champions and their abilities that brought a certain flavor to the Battle Royale genre. It was more learning about counters and systems than gunplay. Not to say gunplay wasn't important, just more like it was a part of the game as opposed to a leg for it, like the other two. And with their ranking system where everything was judged based off your own gameplay outside of your teams, which I think is best because in most cases when you're doing really good, your team's going to be doing pretty shitty. And it can be a whole nother kind of hell to deal with. At least with this, as long as you do good, you're gonna rank up. So team play is not important as gameplay, but since team play, or well, gameplay ties into team play, it all works out. With all of this in mind, and COD's failure to deliver on the recent COD games, or recent ones at the time, with the jetpack era that no one wanted, they needed an answer, and something to piggyback off the success of the Battle Royale genre. And that's where we get Warzone, COD's answer to the Battle Royale frenzy that had swept gaming in its entirety. Action-packed, balls-to-the-wall game mode that started as soon as you jumped. A map that was big as it was annoying, with tons of buildings that were full of camping spots and hidey holes that always seemed to have someone waiting to fuck up your day with a shotgun. It felt like you could never do it all. No matter how many times you played, there was always something that was going to catch you off guard. Like, wow, I never thought of that. It really felt like you were seeing and living the map. Its skins were overall to this point pretty decent. I mean, nothing to write home about, but nothing to complain about either. Balance, while never great, never felt controlled in the beginning. Felt like I could pick up any gun that I liked or, fell in love with and was able to win a fight or a decent chance at it. Nothing too broken existed, and it always felt like counterplay opportunity was there. The content they were adding was great, with events like The Haunting or Godzilla vs. Kong, or what really got me into Warzone was Rebirth. Now, I was never a fan of Warzone, but I was never a hater. I just never liked the whole Battle Royale genre. It did grow on me, and Rebirth was one of the things that did it. As long as your team was alive, you respawned, and you can play and have fun, and there was always a comeback angle. On a map that felt big and small at the same time, Rebirth really satisfied the craving I never knew I had. The movement also added a new skill to master and new depth to a basic style of gameplay that felt like it had reached its peak. Mastering movement and using it in winning fights you should have lost is a feeling only those that have done it will understand. It also helped keep a lot of people sane during the pandemic. A weird thing to bring up, but with everyone stuck at home, it was one of the few ways friends and family could still hang out without hanging out. A way to keep in touch, and something you can't put a price on when the whole world felt like it was on the brink of collapse. With Fortnite at the time seen as a kid's game, COD was seen as something anyone could get into, an escape and a haven for gamers, casuals, and regulars alike, from a world that's problems seemed to just grow by the day. But Warzone had done it. It had brought back life to a dying franchise. The future was bright. The night survived and a new dawn ushering in. But like a fire, it burns bright, it burns fast, and doesn't last to see the new day. Now the last little bit, which is the longest part, leads us into the failures, and oh my god, where do I even begin? The sheer list of issues would make this video legitimately take a week of time to address everything. So many of the issues are interlaced with each other while being entirely separate issues on their own, it's hard finding the right place to dive into. So I'm just going to start with my Warzone journey and the issues I faced along the way. My first issue was the matchmaking system. It was always back and forth on whether the lobbies felt too easy or too hard. There was never a middle ground where I was actually having fun. Just either shitting on complete morons or semi-pro players shitting on me, or what it felt like. The game did its best from how it played to kill any fun you would actually have. Also, once you get to a certain win percentage or a KDA or however they do it, your account gets flagged, and then that's all you're playing against are those sweats. This kills the ability to sit down and play the game for any length of time, long period of time. They massively mishandled how to make a fair and balanced matchmaking system when in reality it's just not that hard. One simple way to fix it is instead of having the SBM kick in every couple matches, I would have it set to 1 or 2 weeks or even a month rotation. That way you get a sustained gameplay and you can really see if someone deserves to be placed at the higher tier or not. We all have moments where we become gods in games and are unbeatable, but that's a fluke and in should no way, shape, or form impact your normal gaming. But that's what COD seems to have done. Whatever your best was, you're expected to perform at that level for as long as you play the game. Listen, we're not pros, we're casuals. We're here to have fun, not win a world championship. The next issue is the way they controlled everything with damage modifiers, where again, listed accounts would have increased or decreased damage amounts done by their guns, so players who the game listed as better or worse would have an even playing field. Now, to be honest, it really didn't change much in the small gun fights. The bad players were still going to die and the good players were still going to survive. But you have to keep in mind, none of this was done with the small fights in mind. It was meant to change the overall aspect, as the supplies simply solve the skill gap between the good and the bad players. Later on, you don't have the same armor, you don't have the same ammo, you don't have the same amount of health for the next fight and the next fight and the next fight. Just simply wave attrition the good players to death. So what seemed like small tweaks that seem random, overall put the skilled player base on a lower or even playing field. That's why so many players just felt it was bad, but couldn't quite put into words what was wrong. Your biggest crime in life will ever commit is you don't know what you don't know. To piggyback off this, there were tons of times where I can go back and watch my replays. I'm pretty sure everybody watching this can understand. Where your ping and frame rates never dropped, stayed the same, but you're lagging. And usually only at points where you're in fights and where you're going to lose. Never seemed to happen to enemies I faced, or at least on a consistent basis to where I could notice it. But having it happen to me every single game at least once pretty much negates the once in a blue moon it might have happened for me. This also ties into the bullet reg. How am I shooting your body? You're standing still, I have perfect ping and frames, and half my clip seems like it got fired into the void. While your 3 shots take all my plates and kill me. Playing this game will make you tear your hair out, or it did. When it was great, it was great. When it was bad, by golly, it fucking ruined your day, night, and next day as well. To piggyback off this some more, the audio never seemed to function properly either, where my footsteps could be heard from 2 buildings over on my own headset, while the enemies who didn't have dead silence, the perk to where you didn't make noise when you moved, while loud on the kill cameras are killing me, completely silent, knowing not once did they appear in my headsets. Everything felt like it was just more ways they hid the amount of shit they were doing. Glitches seemed like they were working as intended as opposed to just mistakes in the code. Again, just to hide everything. Why did they never fix anything? As studies have shown time and time and time again, when you invest in your product the proper way, it generates more revenue. Everything tied together comes out to really just cater to the casuals, and that kills the fun of the game. Casuals play the game to play with their friends, who are the hardcore gamers. So by catering to the ones who don't play the game, well, yeah, might generate a little money in the short term, you kill any long-term desire to play your game. Because the hardcore gamers don't want to spend time playing the game and getting good at it if you're just going to negate all the hard work and effort put in. What I like, and what I gather a lot of gamers also like, is that feeling of hard work actually paying off. The time, the hours, the bruises, the sweat, the tears. It's paying off, unlike in reality or the real world. When you remove that, you kill the drive. And final tidbit / question, how are casuals going to get into the game if nobody's playing the game? The nonchalant attitude they had with cheaters was quite frustrating to say the least. They allowed them to play for months with people mass reporting them and facing no consequences. It's very obvious once you know what to look for on who's cheating and who's not. The amount of cheats inside the game was staggering. Just to name a few: wall hacks, aimbots, stim glitches, invis glitches, silent aimbot, invincibility, out of mop spots, endgame buttons. The list just goes on and on. The amount of cheaters in the game was also a quite sad state to see. I remember seeing this screenshot of one cheating website of 30,000 active users while stating they had actually sold cheats to well over 100,000 people, and that's just one of many sites. Based on just how many sites there were, we can honestly say you had between 3 to 6 hackers per game, per 100 to 150 people. To be honest, I really think Activision allowed cheats as much as they did as just another way to hide how much they were doing to rig their game per se, with that SPM and EOMM. They can just blame cheats and cheaters when in reality it's them. Easy cop out. Anyway, it seemed to me that they would ban them every 3 months to keep them just enough invested to keep playing, but long enough for them to have fun and, want to rebuy shit. Something I'm going to address, yes, some people got caught in a day, couple days, or even weeks, but based on playing the game, that seemed to be the outlier. That wasn't the mainstay of what was going on. Their excuse of the ban wave still didn't make sense to me, as it wastes more man hours having to go through, look, and constantly keep tabs on all the cheaters than just outright banning them immediately. But again, the main objective from the outside looking in was never to ban them outright. Just use them as tools to generate more profits, cause chaos, and sow confusion. Along with the bans, it meant the cheaters would rebuy the stuff they liked because you have your favorites. So just another way to generate more money for COD operator skins and COD gun skins. They never went after cheaters and their websites, to me anyway, until they started to give the battle pass away. All the skins and shit for free, and in turn killing the profit margins for COD. Until that point, it seemed COD and Activision really didn't care or, made it a main priority. The biggest crime that COD did was with its streaming and streamers. Actually, you had streamers doing everything they could for clicks, like kill bombs, nukes, doing insane stuff to garner attention, generate views, and clicks. And the COD player base, for the major part, are kids. They don't understand what's going on, and to be quite honest, they probably don't even care what's going on, as they don't even have the empathy, as it's not fully developed in their brain. They just click on whatever looks cool, and no matter how bad the streamers are as far as personality goes, they don't care. And then in order to generate more views and more clicks, they started to do some pretty outlandish shit. And then, along with that comes the cheating allegations, and pretty much 90% of the big COD names in streaming started having a lot of so many suspect incidences that when you sat down and watched it, it was pretty easy to tell that they were hacking. Case in point, how many streamers never placed at any COD competitions? They do really horribly, go home and make up a shit ton of excuses. Oh, my controller's not working. Oh, I wasn't ready. I didn't get enough sleep. And since, a lot of people don't have enough intelligence or emotional intelligence, they don't care. Not to mention, I feel some of the big streamers were actually used as shields for the cheating companies to advertise the cheats to sell. I mean, come on, cheating in front of so many people and not being able to tell? Then the whole VPN thing, to me, while needed, was still cheating in my opinion. I mean, the matchmaking system forced this with their, skill-based matchmaking, so I don't fault the player base as much. But artificially only going against bots and saying you're good is kind of a joke, and just something to prop up your overinflated sense of ego. It's also funny to me to see streamers that run into groups of people that are clearly not using headsets. They're looking around, looking at the ground. They're not getting third or fourth partied, not dealing with anything that the average good player of COD would deal with. And for me, and pretty sure for a lot of people, it's hard to respect players that are frankly not better than us. The final nail in the coffin, again, ties into everything but separate. The content was just becoming quite lackluster. Events started to become more for show than giving anything of value or fun. Gun balance or changing of stats was less about balance of the game and more to do with whatever skins were being sold at the time. On top of that, the operator skins just became legal ways to cheat, as where some skills were just outright hard to see on certain parts of the map, and then some had some funky ass hitboxes that just never felt their model was where you were supposed to be shooting at. They straight up removed some of the best parts of the game in Rebirth in an effort to draw you to play the new same game that they were reselling you. I mean, everything just became a way to generate and get more money out of you, selling you the same skins and operators, all repackaged, all marked up. Such a fun time out fucking standing, guys. To wrap everything up, is Warzone a scam? Again, legally, no it's not. But in the reality of what they're doing, their business model going forward, yes. They are essentially just going to resell you the same thing again and again and again, year after year after year, until they can't do it anymore. My proof, it's in the pudding.
Warzone 3 just came out. I waited for this video to release it till this point. It's just a resell of the same reused maps, reused guns, reused missions, and it has even less content than everyone before it. 3 hours total for a storyline campaign when they used to have 10 hours plus. Now you get 3. Listen, if you like COD or enjoy it, I'm not calling you an idiot, a shill, fucking stupid, waste of oxygen, and I'm definitely not telling you not to have kids. But by you investing your money, by you spending your money, you're okaying everything I just listed. You're okay with being lied to. You're okay with being manipulated. You're okay with being scammed. When you read some of the things on how EOM legitimately almost brainwashes you to buy and play this game by investing your money, you are saying it's okay. With the loot box being pretty much legalized gambling, you're okay with kids and minors being exposed to the harshest of realities of being adult before they are mentally ready to handle such things. Again, if you like this, be my guest. I don't fault you. But you are saying you're okay with a company doing everything in its power to separate you from your last dollar. I'm not okay with it, and we as gamers and just people alike need to stand up and say enough is enough. I respect your right to make money, but not at the cost of my sanity and health. So yes, Warzone is one giant legal fucking scam. Now, if you did like the video, please make sure to drop a like. And if you feel like I've earned that subscription, please hit that big red button. Don't forget to turn on the notifications so when you know I drop some delicious content,